It's always fun to start a new Minecraft survival world, but then it can kind of fall flat when you start working on your starter base. So in this guide, I'm going to be showing off 20 starter base ideas, ranging from simple and easy to all out and fun. Of course, we're building a starter base, so there has to be a few parameters. First of all of our starter bases need the necessary essentials. We need some form of storage, a crafting table, furnace, and a bed. Additionally, we're only using resources that you can easily get when first starting your world, such as oak wood, cobblestone, and other blocks. And finally, these starter bases have to be small enough to actually be doable when first starting your world. Spoiler, we're not going to have any mega castles here. This guide is going to be broken down into 4 sections, ranging from starter bases that are quick and easy to make to ones that are more all out and don't really have any limits. With that being said, let's get started. First of all, we have the bases that are most easy to make. You could consider this your first night base when you're just trying to survive, or when you're getting ready to make your actual starter base. It's meant to be simple and fast to put together. So our first starter base is going to be a simple tent. You can just make this out of logs, put them in a little triangle shape with a little bit of support maybe, and inside we just have some barrels, our bed, some furnaces, and a crafting table. If you want to get fancy, you can add some path blocks or some dirt, but it's not necessary. And it's pretty decent for your first night starter base. For our next idea, we can take a village and turn one of the houses into our starter base. You might have to gut the insides and do some modeling, but we can have all of the essentials: the furnaces, some storage, more storage, and our bed. It's not anything crazy, but it gets the job done. Now, if you happen to be near a dark forest, you can use one of these mushrooms as your starter base. You can use some slabs for the floor, a ladder going up into the body of it, and then have all of your necessary essentials. It's fairly hidden too in case you have friends tracking you down. Now, if you are in desperate need of a base and happen to be in a biome with a lot of trees, you can just remove some leaves from the top and create a little base. Just have a ladder going up the trunk, and when you get up here, you have your essentials: your storage, crafting table, furnace, and bed. With the base being in the air, you have some mob protection at night. And of course, you have a nice little view of everything going on. If you have a little cave system nearby, you can create a little mine shaft. You can add some nice oak arches to really sell that this is a mine, and if you want to, texture the mine a little bit with some cobblestone and andesite. But otherwise, we have our storage, our crafting table, furnace, and even a little bed at the back. It's very simple, but looks nice. Our next set of bases are a step up. They're a little bit more difficult to put together, but they look much cooler. And this is where you can start getting into some fun themes. For starter base number 6, we have a cabin in the woods. You can just pick any sort of forest biome and then plop down your starter house right here. It works great to go with the default look with the oak and the cobblestone, but you can do any combination of blocks you want. It's a little bit cramped, but very cozy on the inside. Bonus points if you add a dirt path, and the leaf litter looks great with helping the cabin blend in. Now, if you want something a bit more fairy tale, you can take your cabin and put it on top of a mushroom. A mushroom in a dark forest maybe, or a mushroom on a mushroom island. You just build your cabin on top of the mushroom, add a fence going up the stem into the middle of the cabin, and you have yourself a very cute looking starter base. Although maybe don't use the front door. Now, sometimes you come across trees that are just tall for no reason, like this birch one right here. So we can take it and make a nice little tree house. You can make a spiral staircase out of some slabs, and then build your platform out of some more slabs. You can also put some barrels in the floor for a bit of extra storage, but otherwise we have our crafting table, chests, furnace, and our bed. It's definitely a fun starter base you can put together pretty easily and just about anywhere. Now, if you like to live by the saying, go big or go home, I have a treehouse for you. If you're in a jungle, you can build an even bigger treehouse with, again, making a base out of some slabs, adding some fences along the sides, and then you can just add some support from the bottom to really sell the fact that this is a treehouse. Add a ladder going up, some lanterns hanging from the base, and all of your other essentials, and you have yourself a very cool starter base. And let me just say, the views are amazing up here. Okay, and being up in the air isn't for everyone, so instead, you can build an underwater base. You just need to place a dome of glass, clear out the inside water by just placing blocks, and then you have a nice space for your starter base. And to really sell this idea, we can add a little arch just supporting the dome. It has everything you need, and it's cool to look out and just see the fish swimming around you. Our third set of starter bases takes a good amount of work to put together, but they're going to look much better than your average base. These sorts of bases often have a defining theme and work well in the surrounding environment. We take the pretty generic looking starter base design, add on a little shed area for storing any sort of hay, and then add a whole field of wheat. And if you want, you can extend this well beyond the house for extra effect. otherwise it just has your essentials and looks very impressive. Our 12th idea kind of looks like a giant rabbit's burrow, but once you end up entering and jumping in the hole, you can see that is a nice little mine shaft. Above ground, we just use some dirt variants, some stone, and some wood, and then below we use some oak for supports. And of course, we can use some different types of stone to really texture this place and make it feel more immersive. But otherwise, we can fit tons of storage, all of our essentials, and we get this very cute and cozy mine shaft. Now, if you want something a bit more free roaming, you can build a nice raft. Just place some campfires and extinguish them with a shovel and then some other wood bits. Place your barrels and other starter base essentials, and you have yourself a very nice raft floating down the river. Nice upside is that you won't get mobs spawning on here, but otherwise it looks very rustic and very non-starter base, which is something I really like. Cold biomes can be difficult to build in, but you can use the snow to your advantage and build a nice little igloo. You just shape some snow blocks in a roughly dome shape, and then you have yourself a nice cozy space, and you can even have a little friend. It's definitely simple, but has a nice vibe that reflects its environment. Now, if you really want to use a mountainside, you can build a starter base on a cliff. You can just hollow out the cliff a bit, add all of your essentials with some nice oak details, and it's all a nice balcony to really enjoy the view. And for our last set of starter bases, we're taking out all the limits and making the best starter bases we can. These have awesome, really fun designs and are meant to wow anybody seeing the base. For starter base number 16, we can create a little Hobbit inspired build. We're going to use a lot of wood materials to create this little front set into the side of a hill, and inside we have some fun carpets, some nice wooden details, and of course all of our necessary essentials. When creating these sorts of builds, it's important to have the overall shape, but adding details like fences, signs, trapdoors, and buttons really help this feel a little bit more immersive and fun. Now, if you want something a bit more beachfront, you can create a nice little beach house. It's a pretty basic house shape put up on some stakes. You want to use some very bright colors for this house. Beach houses are usually fun colors, so making sure we have that is important to getting the feel. But otherwise, we have a nice little staircase up, and inside we have all of our essentials. As a nice touch, you can add some birch and sandstone underneath to give a bit of a shading effect. Now, if you like the beach but don't want the house, you can make a sandcastle. It's more of an art than a science when creating this, but you want to have different tiers to the castle. So we have one tier right here, another here, and then a third one up here. If we go inside, we have our storage on the first level. If we go up, we have our bed and some nice lookout spots. And the good thing about making a sandcastle is that you can make it as big as you want to. You can have one tower for your starter base and then make an entire castle for your actual base. For idea 19, we can make a swamp hut. The name gives it away, but this works great in any sort of swamp. You want to add some supports going into the ground, build a nice platform for your house to sit on and to have a little dock, and then you can build your house inside. I think dark oak and copper looks the best, but again, it's up to you to decide. The dock works great as a hangout point and a good place to get in and out of your boat. Last but not least, we can make a dark tower. The deep slate variants work great for this sort of build, and you can usually get deep slate when you first go mining, but otherwise it's just a nice gradient from the tiles to the bricks to the smooth to the cobbled deep slate. As for the tower shape itself, it's just a nice little circle with some windows, and then at the top the circle kind of flares outward with some supports. Inside we can have some different floors to our tower, some storage, of course a bed, and then the lookout spot. I love how creepy it is and how it just like defines the skyline. With that being said, that wraps up our build guide. Everyone, I hope these build ideas were helpful and you create some awesome starter bases with them. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and like and subscribe, and as always, thank you so much for watching and have a great day.